like everyone in here to take a minute to look at the people sitting next to them. No, really, take a look. These people may be the family and friends that you've known your entire life, or maybe you've never even spoken to each other before. But I know something about every single person in this room. Everyone in here is a failure. But to explain why, let me introduce you to the biggest failure sitting in this room, our beloved principal, David Caldwell. Now, this may come as a shock to you, but the man who has supported and raised Hibriten to its fullest potential today is the same boy who once flunked out of high school. David was that student, the one who never did homework, the one that was unbothered by failing grades in class, and the one who eventually lost purpose in even coming to school. Most would assume at this point that David would have no hope of going anywhere in life except the local McDonald's. But with the support of his classmates, David started flipping his life around rather than flipping burgers. He worked through every obstacle and broke every adult's expectation of him. He managed to graduate high school, develop his skills at community college, join the military, and ended up graduating from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Yes, that's right. A high school failure, our principal, managed to graduate from the prestigious University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. While most people in here have never heard that story, I can attest from the senior class that we have heard that story at least 8 times over our 4 years here. Every time we had a class meeting and Mr. Caldwell started with, "Okay, when I was in high school," we all knew where it was going. But as many times as we have heard that story, the truth behind it never changes. Failures and mistakes do not define you. It is your comeback that does. After today, we will enter a world of our own, and that world will be far from perfect. But life is not meant to be perfect. In fact, in life, every success story has failures behind it, just like Mr. Caldwell's and just like every single person's in this room. And seniors, we would have not gotten to graduation today if we hadn't had one of those terrible days in class where we felt like nothing but a failure. It is our drive that has gotten us here today, and it is our drive that will enable us to push through any setbacks in our future. It is not our failures that define who we are, but our ability to rise up and strive for success. If Coach Lewis were here today, I think he would wanted to say, a true test of a person's character is how they handle adversity. Yes, it's true. Every great success story has a complete failure behind it. I mean, look at Steve Jobs. Jobs spent his entire life devoted to the meticulous perfection of technology at Apple. It was his own drive and desire that had got him fired, yes, fired, from his own business creation. While the people around him were willing to settle, he was insistent on perfecting his products. Jobs was devastated. Everything he had dreamed about and worked towards was ripped out from under him. But he never let himself settle, despite these setbacks. He came back into the tech industry and developed his name at Pixar until Apple was actually begging for him back. When asked about it, Jobs told the public that in the midst of his failure, all he saw was a fresh start. Both Jobs and Mr. Caldwell have perfectly illustrated that failures are not a death sentence. They are a gift of new beginnings. Failures provide a landing to go nowhere but up. Many adults may have sung this childhood rhyme to you as you grew up, and it goes like this. We're going on a bear hunt. We're gonna catch a big one. I'm not scared, Oh, a river, a deep, cold river. We can't go under it. We can't go over it. We gotta go through it. In our youth, we learned these rhymes and lessons to prepare us for being on our own in the world, but we often forget them as we grow up. I'm reminding you of this rhyme today because this rhyme speaks the truth. Our failures are destined to have obstacles. If you can find a path without obstacles, it probably does not lead anywhere. The only way for us to overcome failures and obstacles is just by going through them. So, when you get to college and you realize the intense difficulty of Chemistry 111, you just gotta go through it. And when you get out in the real world and get rejected job after job, just know you gotta go through it. There's no way around, under, or over facing the obstacles of life. It is simply the fact that you have to go through it to see success on the other side. Failure. A short 7-letter word. What does it say about us to give this little word the power to define our lives? We will not let this small word stop us or ever let us settle. No failure, no adversity, no bear hunt obstacle will ever stop us or make us settle. They will only be ignition to our fires. Class of 2019, let's take our failures and make the next success stories out of them. Thank you.